If your car broke down, what would you do? Would you try and fix the car yourself, or would you find a specialist? If your fridge or your washing machine broke down, would you fix it yourself, or would you find an alternative? Well, actually, there's so many things you can find on YouTube these days. You can actually most probably find the support and help and learning how to do it yourself through YouTube. Okay, let's talk about our bodies. So, if you got a rash on your face, what would you do? Would you try and fix it yourself? Well, most of the time we do, and we look up stuff online to see what can help with my rash, what may be causing my rash to be bad on my face, what am I eating. You start looking at things like that, and if you can't control it, sometimes you might end up going to your GP or seeing a dermatologist who specializes in skin. And my point is, with breastfeeding, if you are finding breastfeeding difficult, if you have done your research and you are not able to resolve breastfeeding yourself, then it may be definitely worth finding someone to support you with breastfeeding. So finding yourself a breastfeeding specialist. Okay? I hope that you take this on board, because breastfeeding does matter. I'm not going to go out and buy myself an alternative car because my car's broken down. I'm not going to go and buy a new fridge because my fridge is playing up or my washing machine's playing up. I'm going to see if someone can fix it first. And if my skin is messing up, I'm going to see what I can do to help that out, and then find a specialist that may be able to help me with my skin. And but you know, we can't replace our skin, definitely not. My word is, try to resolve your breastfeeding issues that you may be having before going ahead and offering your baby formula, because it matters. You know, it's like, once you have learned and you have mastered breastfeeding yourself, you are most likely to be able to support your sister, your friend, or your daughter when she is also coming into the time when she would have to breastfeed her own child. And this is important, because the more that we are aware of the benefits of breastfeeding for us, then we can share this information. And sharing is very important, because it helps the world on a whole. If everyone shared their knowledge, there'll be a lot more people around you that are more knowledgeable, and having knowledge makes you be able to provide that support to another person, and another person it hands down. Because what I have researched is that there's been a lot of things that's been handed down from our generations that we continue. And in regards to breastfeeding, also in regards to, you know, topping up your baby or feeding your baby solid foods at an early stage, earlier than what's recommended now from WHO and UNICEF. And because breast milk is enough for your baby all the way up until 6 months and beyond. But 6 months is the time when it's recommended and said to be the safest time for you to start offering your baby solid foods. So, like, even I heard in my family grapevine that, oh yeah, you know, 3 months, 4 months or so, you can start giving your baby a little bit of something in their bottles, rice, whatever. There's so many different things that I've heard of that you can give to your babies. And what ends up happening is that this can slow down the process of your body making enough milk for your baby. And then it becomes a thing that you always have to give your baby this extra, whatever it may be, because your baby is not feeling fully satisfied because of you have been interrupting your baby's feed. So interrupting your baby's feeding on you, slows down your milk supply. And yeah, so this is very important for us to know on the whole, for us to really be able to support each other and educate each other and change things, because we all know, and what statistics shows for us today is that there's more infant mortality in the black community, and we in the black community have the lowest breastfeeding rates. So you would have thought that we would have had the highest, maybe, because you think, oh, well, they're from back home, or, if they're in a poorer country, they're most likely to breastfeed. But that's not always the case, especially when there was a lot of politics of different people coming into countries and saying, oh, yeah, try and feed your baby formula to sell their products, and not realizing that actually they're causing an effect because mums are thinking that this formula is better for their babies, not really learning behind them and learning the knowledge behind it, and thinking, ooh, let's get this formula, this looks like great stuff, we can hand over our baby and so forth. And what then happens is that once they've been feeding their babies this formula and their body's not producing enough milk, and then they turn around and they be like, actually, I don't have no money for no formula today. They start to introduce other things to their babies, and to help their babies to feel full and to grow, and that drops down their breastfeeding supply, the breast milk supply, may I say, sorry. And what this can then cause is an effect of babies being undernourished, and babies becoming very ill, if not dying, but becoming poorly, because the mothers haven't sustained breastfeeding. And breastfeeding, you can breastfeed your baby for years, to be honest. There's not really no cut-off point where it's been said that this is when breast milk is supposed to be dangerous for your child. That is never ever the case. And our breast milk has got so much goodies in it that, like, come on, you've got these weight trainers trying to buy breast milk. They're not buying mine, but they are trying to buy breast milk, or they are actually buying breast milk because they have learned of the benefits of breast milk, and they want it for their reasons, their health reasons, which that's their thing. It's not something that I promote, but it's what I have learned, what is happening out there. So I just think we need to really realise how blessed we are to be able to produce milk for our babies and to nurture our babies from our own bodies, and not have to actually go out and find alternatives that is not the best for our babies. If it is a case that, for whatever reason, and it's a very small percentage of us that can't breastfeed our babies, but if that is the case, then there are other alternatives. And before formula, to be really honest with you, donor milk is best before really jumping over to formula, especially for prem babies. So just really bear this in mind. We're not trying to promote breast milk. Why would anyone want to promote breast milk so much when you can't really make money off breast milk? But it's only because we are come to learn as a society that formula milk and the lack of breastfeeding is actually killing our nation. We need to really normalize breastfeeding together as a community, as a society, as a culture. In the black community, we need to push out there a lot more and help each other with this, because as much as sometimes you feel that there is a lot of stigma around breastfeeding, but you have to come together as a community and step out and really encourage your sisters and support your sisters with their breastfeeding journey and their choices, because there's so many of us that looks at you be like, oh, breastfeeding, like that's hard work, oh, you're good to do that, oh, don't you want to break and stuff like that. But learning why you're doing something gives you that extra strength and that push to do it even more. And we all need to learn this. I also would like to address the lack of black breastfeeding advocates. There's not many black people working in the breastfeeding field, or other women of colour. There is not hardly any of us, and I think this also does reflect what's happening in regards to the statistics of the levels of breastfeeding, successful breastfeeding and continuous breastfeeding from the black community. And this really does need to change, Like, I'm here. I know a few as well that are also on my, well, not on my side, on the breastfeeding side of the world, because yeah, it's not something that you bump into someone every day, especially as a black woman, and they'd be like, oh, I do breastfeeding too, and so forth. Unless you're within that industry and you know people that does it already, then that's how you know. But other than that, it's very, very, like, when I remember when I was talking to someone and I mentioned breastfeeding, it just slipped out by a mistake, and I think they looked at me like, what are you on about, breastfeed? Like, are you talking about breasts? I think they was thinking I was maybe not really trying to say something about breastfeeding or sexual. I was like, no. I had to explain to them what I do, but yeah, sometimes maybe it's just a bit on my mind too much. But yeah, but it's like, we really need to have more of yous, like maybe doing a similar thing that I'm doing, and sort of educating others around us and putting out the word about breastfeeding, because you know there are cultural barriers that come across when you're in a hospital, wherever you go, and sometimes within breastfeeding there is barriers that I have witnessed myself, and I've seen, you know, a certain other cultures get extra support than one, and there's a lot of reasons why this is, and it really does need to change, because it's proven we are suffering from having a lack of breastfeeding for our babies, and it's not only affecting our babies at that present moment, but it's affecting us as a generation. It's affecting us. It's affecting us. Maybe more of us are having diabetes, more of us getting diagnosed with cancer later on in life, and breastfeeding can prevent a lot of this, and for mother and for child. So yeah, put the word out there. You know, also, you know, if you see another person or another mother breastfeeding, you know, reach out, give them that support, you know, give them that encouragement. Even if you don't know anything about breastfeeding so much, then you could just say, you know, you're doing well. Not give them a look like, oh my gosh, they're going to pull their boobies out here. Yeah, well, you know, that's how we breastfeed. We breastfeed with our breasts, you know. And there's lots of women out there that are just showing their breasts for display for men, and that is okay. But then when women put out their breasts to feed and nurture their baby, people want to frown, and that's where they've got it twisted, because our breast was made for our babies and not made for men. Men are happy and they're lucky that they can play with them now, but they're not made for men. They're made for our babies, to nurture our babies. And you know, there's so much stuff on the media that sort of got the whole world twisted, but you know, we all need to do our research and realize and learn about ourselves spiritually, learn about our bodies, learn about what they are actually capable of doing, and you know, feeling confident within ourselves. You know, some people have gone through different things, and you know, sometimes if you feel that this isn't for you, really do look into things or alternative ways. Some mums don't like the baby on their breast, so they want to pump all day, and that's fine. You know, you're still giving your baby breast milk, which is better than to giving your baby a formula, you know. So yeah, Black Breastfeeding Week and coming up, so I'm doing my shout out for Black Breastfeeding Week. Doing my shout out for Black Breastfeeding Week. I hope you enjoyed my talk. I understand that there was different changes in the background sound, because yes, I am talking in my kitchen while I cook food for my babies, so you can hear some sizzling in the background. And I just hope that you enjoyed the talk, and apologies for that. Next time I'll try and have everything crystal clear for you. Thank you for listening. That's Ruth from one-to-one-doula.co.uk.